like to bring up Jim Goetz to talk about his visit to the Yerkes and Lick observatories.
It's a piece of the Space Shuttle installation, the outer tile. Picked it up at Kennedy Space Center. I don't know what it's worth, but the highest bidder gets to take it home and the money goes to the club. So I'll just leave it here.
Oh my God. And you see the little arrows on the side there when you just want to advance it? Like that. You can do that too.
All right. I don't like doing PowerPoint. No. Anybody know who this is?
George Hill.
Hale. George Ellery Hale. I went for a trip this summer. I was gone 6 weeks. I went to a lot of places, and so I've got a bunch of talk. The talk I'm going to do tonight are the Yerkes and the Lick Observatory in Wisconsin and in California. So basically I'm going to do this as a slideshow like I usually do. That's my car. And I'll just go through this, and if you have any questions, ask me. If you want the details of the numbers, facts, figures, and everything, just go look it up yourself. Because I don't do that. I'm only going to give you my impression of what it was like to go through it, a tourist's point of view. I'm not necessarily doing the technical background. Okay, I'm going to talk about the two greatest astronomical, some of the greatest astronomical telescopes that ever existed. The 40-inch refractor at Yerkes and the 36-inch refractor at the Lick Observatory on Mount Hamilton. Both have passed into history, and they are no longer being used by professional astronomers. As of October, the University of Chicago has stopped using the refractor here. They haven't been using it for a lot of years. But they've just been using they train all their new astronomers at the University of Chicago now, and most of that stuff, they don't even use telescopes anymore. They just order the imagery and do the studies on that. Or they use networks of telescopes. So basically this has become a historical landmark. Basically what's going to happen to it is nobody really knows, but judging by the people I met on the tour that are actually running this, it's going to be well taken care of. It'll just be like anything else. It'll probably be declared some sort of national historic site, get all that protection. There are 77 acres of land around it. A lot of them will probably be sold, and but the tours will continue. It'll be open to the public because there's really nothing else you can do with it. You can't condoize the observatory.
It's Wisconsin too, don't forget.
Yes, it needs it. And it's in a tourist area, so I wouldn't really worry about it.
Did they use it for anything, Jim? Or is it just gone? Like amateurs or local clubs?
Oh yeah, they do everything that a normal observatory would do. That's shelling for the public. They do sky talks. They do all that sort of
so
stuff.
people actually look through it.
Oh yeah, and everything's still functional in the place, so it's not hard to do. This is George Ellery Hale. He was a bit of a pain in the ass, or he actually has superpowers, one or the other. He got the money for the telescope to be built, the observatory to be built. He also got the money for the 60-inch Hale reflector telescope at Mount Wilson, the 100-inch Hooker reflector on Mount Wilson, and he got the money for the 200-inch Hale telescope at Mount Palomar. So whatever superpowers he had to extract money from people to get telescopes, he was a guy you definitely want on your side. The observatory is 2 hours north of Chicago. It says it's an hour, but you haven't driven it, so it's 2 hours if you're lucky. It's in Williams Bay, Wisconsin. It was completed in 1897, and it is credited as being the birthplace of modern astronomy. Hubble trained there right up to Carl Sagan. So everybody who's, the guy who the Chandra telescope was named after, he trained there. So basically everybody went through it for astronomy in the University of Chicago worked here. It was operated until October this year when the University of Chicago said they'll no longer be doing science there. And they really haven't been using it at all very much for the last year. It has a collection of 150,000 astronomical plates, and they're still being used as a library, so it does have a function. The building holds several telescopes. There's the main dome. There's two other ones there. There's one on this side of the building, one on the other side of the building. And they have more modern reflectors in them. This is the main door.
Jerry, you need one of those for your observatory.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah. The money for this came from a guy named Yerkes. And he was a bit of a bastard, really. And he was involved in Chicago politics in the fact that he actually took over the current Chicago transit system. And he pissed everybody off because he was a bit of a tyrant when it came to money. And George Hale went to him and said, "You want to redeem your reputation a little bit? Give me enough money to build this observatory." So he did. And they put a lot of money into it, and a lot of extra money was spent in it, because this was the end of the Victorian era where they still decorated buildings. So if you look at the decorations around here, they're all through the lower part of the building here, and there's actually a lot of stuff they don't know about it. There's this, they don't even know what they just think this is some sort of globe or the universe, but there was never any explanation put forward. And they did tend to keep Yerkes in the dark about what they were actually spending money on. And the builder did things, and Hale did things, but really there's no record of how these decorations actually, what they actually are. Inside, the decorations continue, and there are weird things about it. There are things like, in the decorations, there are umpteen dozens of owls for some reason. Nobody knows why owls became prominent. There are visages, which are little faces. I don't think I have a picture of one. Faces like this that are carved into the, that are sculpted into the, and they believe that 65 of these little things are pictures of the guy who actually built the book, the guy who actually ran the construction. So, but they don't know because the records, nobody ever kept any records of it. There's a Star of David right next to a swastika. Of course, this was back when swastikas were considered good luck charms. Nobody knows what this is, but there's just all sorts of weird things going on here. This is the back side of the building, and there are more carvings here. Somebody believes that this is George Hale, but the big nose may mean something that, well, we like George, but it may be somebody else. So this could be the builder, but they're not sure. Everybody pretty well is sure that this is Yerkes himself. So you can imagine what they thought of him when they were actually building the thing. The builder didn't really have I'm quite sure he didn't become Mr. Nice Guy when they were building this. So it's rather interesting.
It kind of looked like that in real life.
Did he?
Yeah.
Yeah, he went off, and once he finished terrorizing Chicago and making his money from there, he went and built the London subway, didn't he?
Went to Boston.
Yeah, he just took over.
to do with the Toronto City Hall.
Well, anyway, this is the sort of stuff you cover on the tour. There's the hallway leading down to the south, no, west, or east, or something like that. And it's covered with all sorts of standard touristy posters and everything like this. So I took 150 pictures, but I won't be showing them of this thing right now. I take pictures of everything, because everything I see I take an image of, because it's my memory. And lots of good astrophotography. Of course, you guys are sitting there thinking, I can do better than that. And down at the end of the hallway, they have a bit of a museum with brass instruments, and I've got a weakness for these because they're so sexy. Yeah, this is a piece that you'll see these points. They attach to the face of the telescope. You'll see that later. So this is actually a filar micrometer, which is used for measuring things in the sky in your field of view. This is a spectroscope. This is a ultraviolet camera from 1905, which I thought was kind of weird because I didn't even know we had ultraviolet back then. This is just pure sexy brass as far as I'm concerned. I don't even know what it is. It's some sort of attachment device for a thin river. But it's got weird gears and dials and numbers on it, so this is the other end of the building where you walk up into the dome. This is the 40-inch refractor telescope. And you've all seen pictures like this before. I didn't take any production shots of this. These are all of my cameras, so if you don't like the lighting, too bad. You have to go there to get better pictures.
How long is it?
It is...
That would be one of those specs.
38 feet. 62 feet, or 19.4 meters. The mirror is, the lens is 40 inches, or 102 centimeters. And it's the largest single lens ever used successfully in astronomy. There's only one other lens that's bigger, and it's in Paris someplace. It hasn't been used since it was first built.
They sag under their own weight about 40 inches apparently.
Yeah.
As you point them to different parts of the sky, the lens distorts.
Yeah. They've recently built a 1 meter lens, and it's not for an optical telescope. I think it's for a, I don't know, I just heard about it. I was talking to some astronomers about it, and they told me about it. It's kind of neat. But it's actually just focus things onto some sort of electronic device that's a telescope. And I think they're firing it up into space or something. But it's only a meter, so it doesn't really count. Standard dome, standard post, standard whatever. And just to give you an idea of this, this is 30 meters from here across, and the whole floor moves up and down. Because I guess they couldn't figure out how to actually build a seat to go up and down like they do at the Lowell Observatory in Flagstaff. So they make the whole floor go up and down. And in 1905, it collapsed and fell right to the ground, and it broke. So this is what the stairs look like. This is the mount. And the floor, this here is about this high, and there's a space about this deep below. I don't know why it's so deep, but it's kind of interesting. That's the eyepiece. I think they have an exit on it.
That looks like a television, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Might have a field flat.
They have what?
Field flat.
Those are the 3 points of contact I was saying that the micrometer fits on. You can see these upgraded electronics from 1940 or 50. Wow, that's really sensible. The dome moves the telescope with multi-axis. Yeah, it's kind of weird. But this is the outside, and this is the inside, and the next picture will show this is actually up as high as this put it. Just make it work up and down. The one at the Lynn Observatory, they're almost identical observatories with almost identical telescopes. So they're lift at the Lick Observatory doesn't work. But for a measly $20,000, they can scrape it back together. These are the support columns that actually help raise and lower this. So basically, that's about just high enough for you to get to right then and there. This is the control panel. Of course, I've talked about this before, but our observer's handbook is being ordered by these people. That's, I think that's Hale. Maybe it's the builder, I don't know. Anyway, so that's the Yerkes Observatory. What am I talking about? There are no telescopes there that are used for science anymore. So just keep abreast of what's going to happen to it. But judging by the people I was talking to who do the star talks and everything, they're either retired professional astronomers or they're really keen. So these are the people that are going to really take care of this. So it's going to be there forever.
Jim, you mentioned the other two observatories attached to it.
Mm-hmm.
Were you able to go in those? And do
They are open to the public.
Are there telescopes that they're in?
Yes, there are. They're reflectors, and you're going to have to look them up.
Did you get to peek through the 40-inch?
No. No, I wasn't there. That was a Sunday. No, I was there on a Saturday, and they had an observer's night the night before, so they had to rub it in, you know. The size of the floor on the Yerkes Observatory is 30 meters, which is equivalent to the size of the mirror array on the Canadian, U.S., Hawaii telescope. I had to put this picture in. Its first light will be 2022, and that's when I'm going to Hawaii again. So who's going?
Question. Is
Yeah.
that the one that they had all the problems getting the building permits because of the rent? Yeah. That's the one?
Yes.
I guess.
Yeah, they have a lot of legal challenges there.
Yeah.
But it has been approved.
It's what?
It was approved, right?
Yes.
Yes.
There's still some testing. But it's still been approved. Right.
Any other questions? Cool. This is Mount Hamilton in California. This is looking west. It's up at 4,200 feet.